She thought her story ended the moment she threw herself between the alien army and the fragile dragon, Hatchling she swore to protect. But death was only the beginning. Now she rises as something the universe has never seen before, a being forged from ancient light and forbidden darkness, a weapon every empire wants to control, and every monster fears to face. But there is one question no one can answer. Is she humanity's greatest savior, or the most dangerous threat the galaxy will ever know? If you want to uncover the truth, witness her transformation, and dive into a universe where humans defied destiny itself. Backhand index pointing right, watch till the end. Backhand index pointing right, do not blink. You might miss the moment everything changes. Ashara's lungs burned as the inferno of the alien siege closed in around her. The sky above Iridian, seven bled a molten orange, streaked with ash and flares of plasma from the enemy ships. Every breath tasted of scorched metal and the acrid tang of fear, but she did not falter. The dragon hatchling scales shimmered faintly, iridescent in the chaos, trembling beneath the trembling dome of the abandoned sanctuary. Its eyes, pools of molten gold, mirrored the universe's cruelty and the human courage that refused to bow. Ashera knelt, her hands pressed to the hatchling's small body, feeling its heartbeat sync with hers. They came, a tide of horrors that defied imagination. Their limbs were jagged as broken glass, and their faces bore no eyes, only mouths that whispered madness. They spoke in frequencies that rattled the mind, but humans adapted. Humans endured. Humans fought. Ashara's rifle roared, spitting blue fire into the first wave. Every pull of the trigger burned her hands, but she did not stop. Explosions shook the ground beneath, throwing shards of crystal and steel into the air. She felt the vibrations in her bones, a rhythm of survival, a melody of defiance. The hatchling whimpered. She whispered, "Do not fear, little one. I will not let them take you. Not while I still breathe." A clawed hand tore through her shoulder, and pain blossomed like fire. But still she fought. Her vision narrowed. Time slowed. Every shot, every breath, every heartbeat counted. And then, when the last alien fell, pierced by a human ingenuity they could not comprehend, she felt the blade strike. Cold steel slid through her chest, and the world went dark. When she awoke, nothing was the same. Stars stretched across a void she had never seen before, galaxies spiraling in impossible geometries. Her body burned with power she did not recognize. Every neuron screamed with newfound strength. Every muscle pulsed with impossible speed. She had died protecting a hatchling, and now she was more than human. The dragon's cry echoed in her mind, an instinct ignited within her. Protect, conquer, survive. Her first step shattered the rock beneath her feet. Her breath, once mortal, now carved frost into the air of an alien world. She could sense every life form around her, feel the pulse of technology, and hear the whispers of ancient energies long thought extinct. Humans, she realized, had not evolved like the creatures she now faced. They had always been different. Strength, courage, intelligence, adaptability. These were the weapons no alien could predict. No matter the challenge, no matter the threat, humanity had always survived. And now, she embodied it all. From the ashes of her death, Ashera rose, a force that no corner of the galaxy could ignore. Her mind raced through strategies and possibilities, every choice a blade cutting through uncertainty. Every planet she would step upon, every enemy she would face, would learn what it meant to underestimate a human. The hatchling, now grown enough to feel her presence, shimmered beside her. Its wings beat in rhythm with her pulse, and together they would become a legend that echoed across star systems. Ancient civilizations whispered her name, unaware she had only just awakened. Rival empires quaked at the thought of human ingenuity unleashed in ways they could never fathom. And yet, something stirred in the darkness beyond the galaxies, a presence older than stars, hungering for power, observing her every move. Ashera did not flinch. She did not cower. She smiled, sharp and brilliant, teeth gleaming like daggers in the void. Humanity had always risen against impossible odds. Now, she was the apex of that legacy. And the galaxy would learn that no matter the monsters, no matter the gods, humans would endure and dominate. The void stretched before Asherah, infinite and unyielding, a canvas of darkness dotted with stars that burned like distant embers. Every heartbeat echoed against the silence of space, reminding her that she was alive, and more than alive, transcendent. She flexed her fingers, feeling the raw power coursing through her veins. Energy sparked across her skin like liquid lightning, and in that surge, she understood the truth of her transformation. She was no longer constrained by mortality. Her senses expanded, brushing against the edges of reality itself. The hatchling, now grown, hovered beside her, scales glittering like molten silver. Its wings cut through the vacuum, trailing starlight with every movement, and Asherah felt his thoughts merge with hers, a bond deeper than language, older than instinct. Together, they were a singular force, a predator of the cosmos. A flicker of movement caught her eye, a fleet of alien warships, grotesque and jagged, emerging from the shadow of a dying star. They moved as one, synchronized in perfect malice. Engines roared with energy that threatened to tear space apart. They were not invaders. They were hunters, and she was their quarry. Asherah's lungs, though unnecessary in the vacuum, drew the sensation of the scene into her. Every vibration, every pulse of energy, every calculation. The warships were fast, their weapons unimaginable to ordinary humans. But she was no ordinary human. With a thought, she leapt forward, teleporting across kilometers in a blink, her movement faster than the ships could track. Plasma cannons fired where she had been moments before, and the blast ignited the void, streaking like comets. She smiled. The humans had always adapted, always fought, always survived. Her mind raced, plotting, anticipating every maneuver of the alien captains. Even their most cunning strategies unraveled under the weight of her intellect, her intuition, her human ingenuity amplified beyond comprehension. The hatchling dove into the fray, fire blooming from its maw, incandescent and scorching. It shredded the alien ships with precision, each strike a symphony of destruction. Asherah moved alongside, her hands drawing energy from the stars themselves, shaping beams of light that pierced hulls as if they were paper. And yet, the battle was not enough. From the edge of the battlefield, something stirred, something ancient, a ship, gargantuan and impossible, emerging from the folds of space as if reality itself bent to its presence. It pulsed with dark energy, tendrils of void curling outward, warping space around it. It carried a name whispered through galactic history. The Eclipser, legends claim it devoured stars, consumed civilizations, and fed on the very lifeblood of galaxies. Asherah felt a thrill run through her. Finally, a challenge worthy of a human's brilliance. The Eclipser's shadow fell across the battlefield, alien fleets faltering in terror. She did not hesitate. Teleporting onto its hull, Asherah's senses roared in the presence of the ancient power. The metal was alive, pulsing under her touch, screaming in a language older than life itself. She felt its intelligence probe her mind, seeking weaknesses, seeking fear. It found neither. Her voice, amplified by her transformation, carried across the hull. I am Asherah of humanity. I am the apex predator of this galaxy, and I will not be stopped. The ship reacted, tendrils of energy lashing out, striking with precision calculated to destroy her in milliseconds. But Asherah anticipated every move, moving before thought itself. She leapt, twisted, and struck, embedding shards of her own energy into the ship's core. The Eclipser screamed, a sound that split dimensions, and Asherah felt a pulse of its power surge through her. But she did not falter. Humans had always turned weakness into strength, always turned desperation into victory. And she was humanity's living apex. Inside the Eclipser, corridors twisted and writhed as if alive. Asherah walked through them, every step resonating with cosmic authority. She sensed alien life forms trapped within, quivering in fear, praying for escape. She did not stop to pity them. Survival required ruthlessness as much as intelligence. The hatchling followed, its own senses tuned to hers. Together, they tore through the heart of the ship, dismantling its core, ripping energy conduits with claws and bursts of human ingenuity. Every pulse of fire and plasma sang the song of humanity, fierce, unyielding, unstoppable. And then at the center, she found it, a consciousness, vast, ancient, intelligent beyond reckoning. It was not a machine, not a single being. It was a network of intelligence, feeding, learning, devouring. It spoke directly into her mind, a chorus of whispers, demanding surrender, begging for peace. Ashar's response was sharp, clear, undeniable. I am human. I protect. I destroy. I endure. I conquer. And I will not kneel. The consciousness lashed, trying to overwhelm her with centuries of knowledge, of power, of terror. But she adapted. She fought back. Every thought, every memory of human history, the courage of explorers, the ingenuity of inventors, the tenacity of warriors, flared within her mind, pushing back against the void. With a scream that resonated across light years, Ashera unleashed herself. Energy ripped from her core, bending reality, unmaking the eclipser from within. Its scream shook galaxies, but it could not break her. She tore it apart, strand by strand, until nothing remained but scattered fragments of metal and shattered consciousness. When silence fell, Ashera and the hatchling floated above the wreckage. Stars glittered around them, but the galaxy had shifted. Planets trembled. Empires whispered her name. Fear spread like wildfire. And yet, Ashera felt no triumph. She felt hunger, a hunger to explore, to conquer, to test the limits of what humanity could achieve. The universe was vast, full of impossible challenges, ancient powers, and monsters that could unmake worlds. And she would face them all. Her senses tingled. She could feel a presence, subtle, waiting, watching, calculating. A predator older than the eclipser, one that had hidden in the fold of reality for eons. It had sensed her victory and now prepared its response. Ashera smiled. Humans had always faced extinction and prevailed. They had always walked into storms and come out stronger. And now, she carried that legacy, magnified, unstoppable, terrifying. She turned to the hatchling, now enormous, scales reflecting the starlight in brilliant flashes. I will not fail, she whispered. I will show them what humanity can do. I will make the universe remember. And the hatchling roared, a sound that cracked asteroids and sent ripples through space-time. Ashera felt its power merge with hers, a symphony of fire and light, of instinct and intellect. Galaxies would fall. Ancient beings would rise. Empires would crumble. But humans would endure. Humans would adapt. Humans would conquer. And she, Ashera, protector of dragons, harbinger of human might, would ensure that no being, no intelligence, no force in the universe could ever forget the price of underestimating humanity. The void waited, silent, watching, trembling. Ashera smiled again, feeling the pulse of stars beneath her fingers. The adventure had only just begun. The universe whispered, a low hum that rippled through the void like a warning. Ashera floated above a shattered planet. The remnants of civilizations long erased scattered across the surface like ashes in the wind. Her senses pulsed with awareness. Energy signatures, gravitational shifts, temporal anomalies, all bending toward her, reacting to her presence. She inhaled, tasting the cosmic dust in the airless void, feeling it vibrate against her enhanced nerves. The hatchling circled her, wings unfurling in arcs of molten light, casting shadows that danced across the ruins. Together, they were a storm of intent, a force that no star, no fleet, no predator could ignore. A ripple tore across the sky, and from it emerged a vessel unlike any Ashera had seen. It was organic, alive in ways that defied physics, its hull pulsating like a heartbeat, veins of glowing energy crawling across its surface. The moment she touched its aura, her mind screamed in recognition. This was not a machine. This was a being, an intelligence older than the first supernova. It did not speak. It broadcasted thought. A tide of consciousness washed over her mind, probing, testing, seeking to dominate. Ashera laughed, sharp and bright, as she brushed aside. Humans are never prey. Humans are the storm. With a motion faster than light, she propelled herself toward it, the hatchling at her side. Every strike she delivered fractured reality, her body moving with precision and power no alien could anticipate. The creature writhed, tentacles lashing, energy pulses exploding around them like miniature suns. Yet she adapted with fluidity born of human ingenuity. She reached inside the hull, or rather, the being itself, and felt its consciousness. It was a galaxy in thought form, a mind spread across light years, every synapse a star. It tried to overwhelm her, to bend her will, to erase her from existence. Ashera did not flinch. She focused, every neuron a blade of human brilliance. She struck at the weak points, places a creature had never considered, exploiting flaws that only a human mind could detect. The hatchling roared, fire streaking through the void, scorching tendrils of the entity with pinpoint precision. Ashera followed, shaping beams of concentrated energy with her hands, drilling into the living ship. It screamed, not with sound but with vibration, with thought, with the agony of millennia. And she smiled. Humans thrived in impossibility. Humans survived where others fell. Humans conquered when all seemed lost. She was the apex of that legacy. But victory was never simple. From the far side of the shattered world, a shadow stirred, colossal in scale, cloaked in darkness that swallowed light. It moved with intent, and Ashera felt the pull of its presence like gravity bending her very bones. The universe seemed to pause as the entity approached. She had faced ancient intelligence. She had torn through civilizations. Yet this presence, this force, radiated inevitability. It did not merely oppose her. It demanded submission. Ashera clenched her fists, energy crackling along her arms. The hatchling landed beside her, its scales reflecting stars in a kaleidoscope of fury. They were outnumbered, outgunned, outmatched, and yet she did not flinch, because humans always adapt. Humans always rise. Humans always endure. The shadowed entity revealed itself, a being of pure void, a predator of galaxies, its form shifting across dimensions, impossible to perceive fully. Its voice echoed directly inside her skull, vibrating through every fiber of her being. "I am the end," it whispered, "and you are nothing." Ashera laughed. "Humans are everything." She struck first. Faster than thought, faster than light, she propelled herself forward, tearing through the void, every strike precise, every movement unpredictable. The end countered with waves of destruction, tearing stars from their orbits, twisting space into nightmarish geometries. But Ashera thrived. She moved where physics forbade, adapting, improvising, exploiting every flaw in the monstrous entity's onslaught. The hatchling unleashed its fury, fire and plasma carving streaks across dimensions. Together, they became a storm, a force of human determination that the universe had never witnessed. And yet, the end was patient, calculating, learning, adapting in ways even Ashera struggled to anticipate. She realized she needed more than strength. She needed ingenuity. Humans had always turned despair into strategy, weakness into weapon. Her mind raced. She manipulated gravitational fields, twisted temporal flows, reshaped energy itself. Every human lesson, every historical triumph of her species flashed in her mind. The explorers who survived the void, the inventors who bent matter to their will, the warriors who defied gods. She applied them all at once, folding them into her body, her senses, her thought. The end faltered, a pulse of surprise rippling across its form. Ashera pressed, striking with surgical precision, ripping through the layers of darkness that compose the entity. Reality itself cracked under the assault, bending, shattering, reshaping. Stars blinked out, planets trembled, yet she endured. Finally, with a scream that resonated across multiple dimensions, she tore through the end's core, severing its hold on existence itself. The void echoed with silence, and the universe seemed to exhale, trembling in the aftermath. Ashera hovered amidst the ruins, the hatchling at her side, both of them glowing with the power of stars and storms. Her body pulsed with energy beyond comprehension, her mind sharper than any alien intelligence she had faced. She had survived the impossible. She had dominated the unimaginable. And still she hungered. There were civilizations untouched, waiting in fear of humanity's rise. There were ancient beings lying dormant, older than galaxies, ready to challenge any who dared claim dominance. There were mysteries, dangers, impossibilities scattered across the cosmos, and Ashera would face them all, because humans endured, because humans conquered, because humans evolved beyond expectation. She turned to the hatchling, its golden eyes reflecting her own intensity. "The universe will remember us," she said. "Every star, every planet, every being that underestimates humanity will learn the cost." And she felt it, a tremor in the void, subtle but unmistakable. Another presence, lurking beyond the known universe, watching, learning, preparing to test her resolve. Ashera smiled. The galaxy had not yet met its most dangerous being. It had not yet faced the apex of human ingenuity, courage, and determination, and she would ensure that every challenge, every threat, every impossible foe would learn the same lesson she had learned. Humans do not surrender. Humans do not yield. Humans dominate. With a roar that shattered the silence of space, Ashera and the hatchling propelled themselves forward, moving toward the unseen threats lurking at the edge of the cosmos. Every star they passed, every civilization they touched, felt the tremor of human power. The universe trembled, yes, but also watched, captivated, unable to deny the rise of a species that had always been underestimated. And in that silence, Ashera whispered, sharp and certain, "This is only the beginning." The galaxy held its breath, and humans prepared to write their legend across the stars. Stars stretched across the void like veins of fire, and she could feel the pulse of every world, every life form, every latent threat vibrating in harmony with her own heartbeat. The hatchling soared beside her, wings unfurling in arcs that split the void, trailing molten trails of light that shimmered across the darkness. Together, they were no longer predator and protector. They were a singular force of human determination and dragon fire, unstoppable and brilliant. The edges of known space trembled first. Galactic empires, alien species, ancient civilizations that had survived millennia of war, all sensed the tremor of human ascendancy. They whispered of her name, Ashera, the apex, protector of dragons, the being who tore through the impossible and survived. They feared her. They should have. But Ashera's eyes did not scan for enemies. They searched for opportunity. She had destroyed the Eclipser. She had vanquished the end. Yet she knew power alone was not enough. Intelligence, strategy, cunning, these were the true tools of survival in a galaxy teeming with unimaginable threats. Her mind calculated, projected, and simulated billions of outcomes at once. Every twist of alien physics, every unpredictable behavior of sentient intelligence, every variable across light years folded into her consciousness. Humans had always faced the impossible and turned into mastery. Now, she embodied that mastery in its purest, most terrifying form. A signal pulsed through the void, a sequence of electromagnetic waves, alien in design yet deliberate in purpose. It was a beacon, a call from the outer reaches, from a civilization long thought extinct. Its message was simple but chilling. "We know what you are. We wait." Ashara's lips curved into a smile. Humans had never backed away from a challenge. The hatchling roared, its voice echoing across the vacuum, a declaration of dominance. She leapt toward the beacon's source, moving faster than light, her body cutting through space-time like a knife through silk. When she arrived, she found a planet cloaked in shadows, its surface fractured, cities long abandoned, but energy hummed beneath the ruins. This was no ordinary civilization. This was a nexus of ancient technology, a vault of knowledge older than the first stars. Her senses tingled. Every step she took sent vibrations through the crust, through the air, through the very lattice of reality. She could feel intelligence here, ancient and cunning, weaving around her, probing, testing. She smiled. Humans had always outsmarted the impossible. The hatchling landed beside her, claws sinking into cracked stone. "I will lead the way," she whispered. "We will find them before they find us." They moved through the labyrinthine ruins. Every shadow a potential threat, every flicker of light a possible trap. Her hands traced the walls, feeling ancient inscriptions, circuits etched into stone, pulsing with residual energy. She deciphered them instantly, her mind racing across patterns, algorithms, and thought matrices embedded in alien stone. Humans did not merely survive. They adapted, they conquered, they outwitted. A sudden tremor shook the planet. From beneath the ground, titanic forms emerged, creatures of bone and metal fused into living war machines. They were guardians, designed to test, to destroy, to prevent intrusion. Ashera did not hesitate. She moved like a storm, teleporting across the battlefield, energy streaming from her hands, carving paths through the guardians. The hatchling breathed fire, searing circuits and flesh alike, twisting metal and bone into molten streams. The creature struck with precision, but Ashera anticipated every strike, every pattern, every weakness. Humans had always turned the tide when all seemed lost. She proved it again. Inside the heart of the ruins, she found them. The architects, beings of pure intellect, their forms shifting between dimensions, eyes like supernovae, minds like galaxies. They studied her with a curiosity that chilled, probing for weakness, measuring her in ways she had never encountered. Ashera met their gaze. "I am human," she said. "I endure. I learn. I dominate." The architects responded not with words, but with assault, waves of energy, bending space, unraveling matter, distorting time around her. Yet she adapted, weaving through attacks, bending reality itself with her thought, shaping energy into weapons, traps, and shields. The hatchling moved in tandem, wings beating, fire blazing, instinct aligned with her own. They were symphony and storm, predator and apex combined. Hours, or perhaps days, time warped by the architect attacks, passed in a blur of light and energy. Ashera realized that brute force would not suffice. She needed ingenuity, strategy, the very essence of what made humans unstoppable. She exploited their reliance on perfection. The architects sought to predict, to control, to dominate through logic. Humans thrived in chaos, in creativity, in unpredictability. Ashera introduced anomalies, paradoxes, variables that defied their calculation. She twisted space, reshaped energy, and infiltrated their consciousness with the subtlety of a predator. The architects faltered. A ripple of doubt passed through their collective mind. Ashera pressed forward. Her strikes became precise, surgical, dismantling constructs, fracturing dimensions, turning the ancient intelligence against itself. The hatchling roared, a sound that resonated across fractured space, and together they dismantled the architect's defenses, layer by layer. Finally, she stood in the center of their core, a chamber where time and space twisted, walls made of living thought, energy flowing like rivers of starlight. The architect spoke directly into her mind. "Why do you persist? Why does a human rise against the inevitable?" Ashera smiled. "Because humans endure," she whispered. "Because humans create. Because humans adapt. Because humans will never be defeated." Energy flared, dimensions collapsed, and the architects shattered under the weight of her will. Their intelligence fragmented, scattering across time and space, leaving only echoes. The planet trembled, ruins collapsing around her. Yet she did not falter. She had survived. She had conquered. And still, the universe whispered of more. From beyond the reaches of known space, signals pulsed in frequencies humans had not yet imagined. Ancient beings awoke from slumber in dark galaxies, sensing the rise of a predator unlike any before. Empires long thought extinct stirred. The void itself seemed to pulse with anticipation. Ashera looked at Hatchling, now grown to massive size, scales glinting like liquid stars. "We are only beginning," she said. "The galaxy does not yet know the measure of humanity." And as she lifted into orbit, the ruined planet beneath her, she sensed another presence approaching, an entity older than the architects, a force that had consumed entire galaxies without effort. It regarded her as an anomaly, a problem to be corrected. Ashera laughed. Humans had always faced extinction and survived. Humans had always stared down impossibility and triumphed. Humans had always turned weakness into weapon, fear into strategy, death into opportunity. She stretched her senses, feeling the pulse of stars, the hum of life, the threads of reality itself bending to her thought. She could see threats forming light years away, civilizations plotting, predators waiting, and she would face them all. The hatchling beside her roared again, a promise of fire and fury. Together, They would move through the stars, leaving no empire untested, no predator unconfronted, no ancient secret unchallenged. Every corner of the galaxy would learn what humans were capable of. The universe was vast. It was dangerous. It was unforgiving. And humans, she realized, were exactly what it needed: to challenge, to overcome, to dominate. Ashera stretched her wings of energy and light, the hatchling matching her motion. Stars streaked past as they launched into deeper, uncharted space, toward challenges that defied comprehension. Her body pulsed with power, her mind racing through possibilities, her spirit burning brighter than any star. And in the silence of the void, she whispered to herself and the galaxy, "The apex of humanity does not yield. The apex of humanity conquers. And I am humanity." The galaxy waited, trembling, as Ashera, protector of dragons, apex of human ingenuity, streaked across space, a storm the universe had never seen. Every challenge would test her. Every ancient power would rise. Every empire would tremble. The storm overhead rumbled like an ancient beast awakening, shaking the forest floor beneath Archon's boots. His breath came out in hard, foggy bursts as he moved the ruined corridor beneath the mountain, an underground passage that seemed older than any civilization he had ever known. The walls were cracked, symbols carved deep into them, pulsing faintly with a bluish glow that responded to his presence. It felt almost alive. Mira stumbled behind him, her injured leg dragging slightly, but her eyes remained fierce. She kept one hand on the cold stone wall, while the other held tightly onto the orb, now dimmer, as if losing power, or conserving it. "It's guiding us," she whispered. Archon glanced back. "Or warning us." Because the deeper they went, the louder the distant drums became, slow, thunderous booms echoing to the tunnels like heartbeats. The enemy was close. The Beast Legion had found another entrance into the cavern system. They were surrounding them. They had minutes at most. But turning back was an option. Not now. Not after what they'd seen. The ancient core rested somewhere beneath the mountain, a relic of the first people, said to choose the next guardian of their realm. If the beasts reached it first, all of humanity would fall. Mira limped faster, her voice trembling. Archon looked the wall. He pressed his torch forward. The carvings were changing, shifting. Even though the stone was solid, the shapes twisted until they formed two figures, a human warrior with a spear of light and a beast, towering horned, wrapped in flame. The prophecy, the one the elders spoke of, the one Archon had been running for his whole life. "It's you," Mira said quietly. "And him." Archon clenched his fists. "I don't believe destiny decides anything." But deep inside, he feared it, because the Beast King had been hunting him specifically, because Archon wasn't just a soldier. He was born under the comet, the same night the last guardian died. A coincidence the elders never stopped repeating. A scream echoed through the tunnels. Not human, not beast, something else. Mira froze. What was that? Archon pulled his blade free. "We move. Now." They rushed down the tunnel until it opened into a massive chamber, a spiral staircase wrapped around the edges, descending into darkness. At the center of the room floated a pillar of blue light, reaching up into the ceiling and down into the unseen depths. "The core's below," Mira whispered. But before they could take a step, the entire room shook. Dust rained from above. Cracks split the stairway. Then a monstrous silhouette rose from the shadows. A massive shape, with jagged wings scraping the stone walls, and eyes burning like molten gold. The Beast King. He stepped into the light, his claws sparking against the ancient floor. His breath was thick smoke. His voice roared like collapsing mountains. "Human guardian," he growled, staring at Archon. "We end this prophecy tonight." Mira clutched Archon's arm. "You can't fight him here." But the Beast King was already moving, fast, impossibly fast. His claws slashed forward. Archon shoved Mira aside and barely ducked as stone shattered behind him. He rolled his feet and held his sword ready. His hands trembled. His heart pounded. But he didn't back down. "You want me?" Archon shouted. "Come get me." The Beast King lunged. The collision sent a shockwave through the entire chamber. Archon felt the force shoot through his arms, threatening to snap bone. The Beast King pressed down, overpowering him inch by inch. "Do you feel it?" the Beast King hissed. "Your fate burning inside you?" Archon gritted his teeth and kicked off the ground, breaking free for a moment. He slashed upward, cutting across the beast's shoulder. Black blood sprayed, sizzling as it hit the stone. The Beast King roared. Above them, the chamber ceiling began to collapse. "We need to go." Mira yelled from behind a fallen pillar. But Archon was locked in the monster's grip. The Beast King pinned him against a wall, claws closing around Archon's throat. "You are weak," the beast snarled. The prophecy chose wrong. Archon struggled, vision fading. But then, the orb in Myra's hand suddenly pulsed, once, twice, then flared with blinding white-blue energy. The Beast King recoiled, releasing Archon. Mira screamed as the orb burst open, sending tendrils of light across the room. They wrapped around Archon like glowing vines, sinking into his skin, burning and freezing at the same time. His eyes filled with the same blue light. Mira covered her mouth. Archon, the Guardian, chosen by the core. Energy surged through him, lifting him off the ground. His heart hammered violently as ancient knowledge rushed into his mind. Visions of past guardians, battles fought long before humans existed, the truth of what the beasts really were. He hit the ground, gasping for air, sparks of light drifting from his fingertips. Archon rose slowly. The Beast King stared at him with fury and fear. "So it awakens." Archon didn't know how to control the power, but he felt it pulsing inside him like a second heartbeat. The chamber glowed brighter as the core responded. "Let's finish this," Archon said. He charged. This time, he was faster, much faster. He ducked under the Beast King's strike and slammed his glowing fist into the creature's ribs. The impact cracked armor. The Beast King roared in pain. Archon felt the power building again, sparks racing up his arm. He jumped, higher than any human should, and slammed into the beast's jaw, sending the massive creature staggering. But the Beast King recovered instantly. Flames erupted from his mouth, engulfing half the chamber. "Archon!" Mira screamed. Archon braced himself and raised his hands. The energy reacted, forming a shimmering barrier that split the flames around him. He pushed forward, step by step, using the shield like a battering ram until he was close enough to strike. His blade flashed with blue light as he drove it deep into the beast's shoulder. The Beast King howled. The stairway collapsed completely. The chamber shook so violently the core's light flickered. "We can't stay here," Mira cried. The Beast King, bleeding heavily, staggered back. But instead of fleeing, he smiled, a terrifying, broken, blood-soaked grin. "You may have the core's blessing," he growled, "but you are not ready." Before Archon could stop him, the Beast King leaped backward, falling willingly into the glowing chasm below. Mira gasped. "He's going to the heart of the core." Archon turned, breath ragged. "Then we follow him." "Archon, it could kill us." "We don't have a choice." The prophecy was in motion, and the final battle waited below. Archon grabbed Myra's hand. "Whatever happens," he said softly, "we finish this together." She nodded, tears in her eyes. The chamber cracked open, the light swirling like a vortex. Together, they stepped into the abyss, and the world swallowed them whole. The world dissolved into blinding light as Archon and Mira plunged downward. It felt like falling through liquid sky, cold, electric, alive. The air trembled with ancient whispers, voices layered over one another, speaking in a language older than time itself. Mira clung to Archon's arm, her heartbeat frantic against his. He tightened his grip, refusing to let her slip away into the blurring vortex. Then, the fall ended. They landed on something soft, like moss, yet glowing faintly beneath their feet. When Archon opened his eyes, he froze. They were no longer underground. They stood in an endless cavern made of pure crystal, walls stretching miles high, reflecting rivers of glowing energy that ran like veins through the stone. Floating islands of rock drifted gently around them, suspended by invisible forces. Above, The ceiling shimmered with constellations that moved, alive, watching. "The core sanctuary," Mira whispered, voice trembling with awe. Archon nodded slowly. He had seen pieces of this place in the visions when the core awakened him, but seeing it in reality was overwhelming. The air tasted like thunder and memory, but the tranquility shattered instantly. A feral roar echoed across the sanctuary. The Beast King was here, and he was changing. Across the floating chasm, on a towering crystal platform, the Beast King knelt beneath a pillar of red-black energy that surged in the ground like a corrupted fountain. The core's light around him was dimming, struggling, being devoured. The beast lifted his head. His eyes glowed with a new, horrifying light. "Archon," Mira whispered. "He's drawing power from the dark vein." Archon felt the core inside him pulse in warning. The dark vein was forbidden energy, raw chaos, created when the first people tried to reshape the world and almost destroyed themselves. Anyone who absorbed it would be transformed into something unstoppable, but doomed to burn. "We have to stop him," Archon said. Mira nodded. "Then we cross." A floating bridge of stone drifted toward them, summoned by the core sensing Archon's presence. They stepped onto it, running across as lightning spidered through the sky-like ceiling. The Beast King rose to his full height, taller than before, his muscles twisting as dark veins glowed through his skin. His wings spread, twice as massive, dripping molten shadow. "You follow your fate blindly," the Beast King growled. "Like every guardian before you." Archon drew his blade, which burst with blue flame. "Fate didn't bring me here. You did." The Beast King roared and hurled a wave of dark fire. Archon grabbed Mira and leapt aside as the bridge shattered behind them. Mira rolled and fired a blast from the orb. It was weaker now, flickering desperately. The energy struck the Beast King's chest, but instead of harming him, the dark vein absorbed it like water into sand. "He's immune," Mira gasped. Archon stepped forward. "Then it's me he wants." The Beast King lunged. Archon barely blocked the strike in time. The collision released a shockwave that cracked an entire floating island nearby. Archon slid back, boots scraping along the crystal floor. He forced himself to breathe, to focus. The core energy inside him responded, running through his arms like fire and ice. He charged. Their battle shook the sanctuary. Claws against blade, light against darkness. Archon slashed upward, cutting into the beast's arm, releasing a burst of light that sputtered like a star faltering. But the Beast King swung his wing like a scythe, striking Archon and sending him crashing into a crystal pillar. Mira screamed, running toward him, but the beast summoned a wall of shadowy flame, trapping her on the far side. "Mira!" Archon shouted. "Go!" "Finish him!" she yelled back, pounding on the burning wall. Archon forced himself to his feet as the Beast King stalked forward. "Why do you fight, human?" the beast growled. "Your kind is weak, fragile, born to die." Archon spat blood and raised his sword. "Maybe, but we don't run." The Beast King charged. Archon braced. At the last second, the core inside him flared, sending a jolt of instinctive knowledge through his mind. Archon slammed his palm against the ground, sending a burst of blue energy upward that launched him into the air. He flipped over the Beast King, landing behind him, driving his glowing blade deep between the beast's shoulder blades. The Beast King roared, spinning with fury, his tail slashing across Archon's chest. Archon hit the ground hard, breath knocked out of him. The beast loomed over him. Dark fire collected in its jaws. Archon struggled to rise. His limbs shook. His chest burned. He wasn't ready. He wasn't strong enough. But then the orb screamed. Mira, legs trembling, slammed the orb into the crystal floor. It cracked open, revealing a small sphere of pure light, white gold, pulsing like a tiny star. The heart of the core. "No!" the Beast King roared. Mira threw it. It rolled toward Archon, stopping at his hand. The core inside him recognized it instantly. Power surged. The sanctuary trembled. Archon stood. Blue flame erupted around him, swirling into armor made of light. Veins of glowing energy pulsed across his body. His eyes turned completely white. The Beast King staggered back. Impossible. Archon didn't speak. He moved. In a burst of speed, he closed the distance, slamming into the Beast King with the force of falling meteor. The beast crashed backward, smashing through a crystal spire. Archon appeared again, faster than sight, and kicked the beast across the sanctuary. Mira watched, tears in her eyes. Archon. The Beast King rose slowly, laughing through blood. So this is your true form. Archon lifted his blade, now a beam of pure core light. This ends now. The beast roared and charged, unleashing everything, the dark vein burning through him like black lightning. Archon met him head-on. Light collided with darkness. The explosion lit the entire sanctuary, shaking every floating island. Crystal towers shattered. Energy rivers erupted into the air like geysers. Archon and the Beast King clashed in midair, their silhouettes flashing between light and shadow. Each strike pulsed like thunder. Archon drove his blade into the beast's chest. The Beast King clamped his claw around Archon's throat. Both pushed forward with everything they had. The sanctuary began collapsing, unable to handle the force of two opposite energies. Mira screamed Archon's name as fissures spread across the ground. Archon felt the core burning through him, but also felt the dark vein burning through the Beast King. And in that moment, he understood. "You're not the true enemy," Archon said quietly. The Beast King froze, eyes widening. "You're dying," Archon continued. "The dark vein, it's killing you. It always was." For the first time, the Beast King looked afraid. Archon tightened his grip on the blade. "Let me end your suffering." The Beast King closed his eyes. A single nod. Archon released the full power of the core. Light exploded, blinding, pure, endless. When it faded, the Beast King lay still, his body dissolving into shimmering particles that drifted upward like fireflies. Mira ran to Archon as he collapsed to his knees, the core armor fading. "You did it," she whispered, holding him. "It's over." Archon looked at the dissolving particles. "No," he said softly. "It's just beginning." Because the sanctuary was collapsing. The core's light flickered violently. The dark energy had corrupted the heart of the chamber. Myra's voice shook. "What do we do now?" Archon stood slowly. "We restore the core," he said, "or the world above falls." He looked toward the glowing abyss where the Beast King had drawn the dark vein, and stepped toward it, a new journey beginning, a new battle waiting. The ground trembled beneath Archon's feet as he stared at the abyss where the dark vein pulsed like a wounded heart. Black lightning crawled along the cavern walls. Crystal pillars shattered, raining glittering shards that dissolved before touching the ground. The core sanctuary, once a cathedral of peace, now collapsed under its own wounded light. Mira watched him with fear and love burning together in her eyes. "You cannot go down there alone," she said, voice shaking. "You barely survived the Beast King." Archon turned toward her, core light still faintly shimmering beneath his skin. "I survived because I had to," he said softly. "But this is different. The world above is falling apart. If the dark vein reaches the surface, everything dies, every person, every creature, every star that shines on our future." Mira stepped closer, her hand brushing his cheek. "You are not responsible for saving the entire world." Archon smiled, a small, aching smile. "That is the problem. I am above them." The ceiling cracked open, revealing the sky-like void of the sanctuary's upper layers, streaked with swirling storms of energy. From somewhere deep within the chamber, a low, rumbling hum echoed, like the heartbeat of a dying titan. The core itself was weakening. Archon felt it calling to him, asking, begging. He stepped forward, but Mira grabbed his wrist. "You go in there alone, you will not come back." Archon exhaled slowly. "I know." She searched his face, hoping for hesitation. There was none, so she swallowed the fear tearing inside her and whispered, "Then I am going with you." Archon shook his head gently. "You came far enough. More than anyone could have asked of you. But this last step, it is mine." A crack split the floor beneath them. The sanctuary's island began to drift apart, pulled in different directions by chaotic gravitational tides. "Archon." Mira shouted over the increasing rumble. "Do not do this. You are more than a weapon. You are more than a savior. You deserve to live." Archon touched her forehead softly, pressing his against hers. "I will live through every life saved by this choice." Her breath broke. He stepped away, and the core responded. A path of glowing stone rose beneath his feet, carrying him down toward the abyss. Mira watched as he disappeared slowly into the swirling dark, her heart cracking with every step he took. She whispered, "Come back to me," but he was already gone. The deeper Archon went, the heavier the air became, thick with raw, unshaped energy. The core inside him struggled to stay stable, flickering between light and shadow. Whispers rose from the darkness around him, voices of the ancient guardians who once protected this place, voices of those who failed. Turn back. Too late. No human can contain the vein. Archon kept walking. His boots touched the edge of a massive chasm. Below him, the dark vein writhed like a wounded serpent, veins of corrupted light wrapping around the core's foundation. The two energies, light and dark, were locked in a slow, deadly war, and the world above was a battlefield. Archon stepped into the storm. Instantly, his body convulsed. The dark vein's energy slashed through him like blades made of anguish. His breath froze. His bones trembled. His heartbeat faltered. But he kept going. Humans were not the strongest species, not the fastest, not the most magically gifted, but they were the most stubborn, bound by will stronger than fear, and hearts louder than destiny. He lifted his hand. Core light burst from his palm, colliding with the dark vein in a shower of blinding sparks. The entire void shuddered. Archon roared, not in fear, but in defiance, as the two forces pushed against each other. He forced the core deeper into the vein. He forced the darkness upward, pulling it into himself like poison. His skin split with cracks of both blue and black energy. The pain was unimaginable. Not physical, far beyond that. It was the pain of absorbing 1,000 twisted memories, 1,000 failed civilizations, 1,000 centuries of corrupted hunger. The dark vein tried to break him, but Archon refused to break. He pressed both hands into the center of the abyss and screamed, unleashing a blast of pure white gold light that erupted through the sanctuary like a newborn star. The light and dark collided. The world shook. The core roared. The vein shrieked. Mira dropped to her knees as the sanctuary stopped collapsing. The air cleared. The islands slowed their drifting. The crystal walls began to mend themselves in rippling waves of light. She looked toward the abyss. A single figure walked out of the glow. Archon, burned, exhausted, barely standing, but alive. Mira sprinted toward him, tears streaming. She collided with him, arms wrapping around his battered form, refusing to let go. "You came back," she whispered. Archon rested his forehead against her shoulder. "I said I would find a way." She looked up, searching his eyes. "What did you do down there?" Archon exhaled slowly. "I merged the energies, the core and the dark vein. They are no longer enemies. They are one." Her breath caught. "And you?" Archon nodded. "I carry both." Mira touched his cheek softly. "You carry too much." "Maybe," he whispered, "but someone had to." The sanctuary pulsed gently, signaling its restoration. Light returned to the walls. The floating islands aligned themselves again. The catastrophic imbalance was healed. The world above was safe. They walked together toward the newly formed exit, an ascending pathway of crystal that rose smoothly toward the surface. As they emerged into daylight, the sky above them glowed a vibrant shade of blue. Birds circled overhead. The air smelled of rain and fresh earth. The land itself felt lighter, as if freed from a centuries-old burden. Waiting at the cliff's edge was a dragon, grown, majestic, wings spanning the horizon, eyes glowing with wisdom and gratitude. Archon stared in awe. "You," he whispered, recognizing the same creature he had died protecting. It bowed its massive head. Mira stepped forward. "It knows what you did." Archon placed his hand on the dragon's warm scales. "You survived," he murmured. The dragon lowered its wing, a gesture of offering. Archon glanced at Mira. Her expression said everything. Together, they climbed onto the dragon's back. With a single powerful beat of its wings, the dragon launched skyward. Wind tore past them. Clouds rushed toward them. The world expanded beneath them. And for the first time since awakening the core, Archon felt something deep, steady, and real. From high above, they saw villages rebuilding, forests healing, rivers glowing with purified energy, life returning to places once corrupted. And everywhere they flew, people pointed, people cheered, people whispered his name. Guardians bowed, warlords trembled. The ancient world stirred awake. Humans, who once had behind fortified walls, now watched the sky with wonder instead of fear. Mira leaned against Archon. You changed everything. Archon looked down at his hands, where faint traces of both light and dark energy still flickered. No, he said, we changed everything. The dragon climbed higher, cutting across golden sunlight. The horizon stretched endlessly before them. Mira whispered, where do we go now? Archon looked at the distant mountains, at the storm clouds, at the glowing land beyond, and he smiled. Wherever the world needs us. The dragon roared, a deep, powerful call that echoed across the heavens. And in that moment, the legend of Archon, the human who carried both the light and the darkness, began its journey across the sky, not as a monster, not as a god, not as a weapon, but as a protector, a reminder that humanity, even in a universe of impossible powers, stood unbroken and would continue to rise.